How's everyone doing?
Hello, hello.
Hey, yeah, good. That was that was incredible. That rap. Did
Right.
That's
you got
Good one.
everything
James.
in there, right?
Yeah, that was a song that was made to us for us by James. Posted. He's one of the homies. And yeah, usually I co-host the trio show with Purple. But today we have Bruff here with us. But yeah, if you heard like he's like calling out all of the
Yeah,
team
got a
pretty much.
few shout
So
outs in there.
yeah, we have our own little intro song. It's pretty cool. So we're here for another episode of the Trio Show, and this week we have Gabriel Shipton. I'm really excited to be talking to you about Project Spartacus, WikiLeaks, information rights. There's a lot to cover, and obviously we have Bruff with us from the Trio team. And yeah, this is a special show. So like we usually do them on Tuesdays, um, every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST, but today is a special edition. So yeah, I already see like our community in the chat: Israel, GMGM, is real. Sorry, and Khalid. How's it going? Good to see them. So how are you guys doing? Rough. It's been a
Really
while.
great. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on the show. I've been heads down with everything trio, and there's some exciting things happening on the trio side. And I had to jump on this show because like this project's near and dear to me. We've been working on it quite a while now and involved with it quite a while. So literally got a day and 23 hours to go until this thing goes live again. So I'm super excited about it.
We got Yasin in chat. GM, how's everyone going?
Yeah,
It's good to
GM.
see it filling up. Um, Gabriel, is this your first live stream with us?
Yeah, with
With
you
us.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done a few live streams over the years while we were trying to get Julian out of jail, but this is the first one in a while, and yeah, I'm very equally as excited about Bruff about this project launching. It's been a long time coming, a long time in the works, and yeah, I think it's a very very exciting project Spartacus.
I mean, I'm very excited too. And before we say more, I just want to say hi to Vicky and to Meta Prince, GM, everybody. For those that obviously have been following us, have been following Trio, have been following Project Spartacus, you know that um, we've been inscribing the war logs of the Afghan war on Bitcoin. And the release of these will happen this week. And it's going to be celebrating the anniversary of the release of these files, which document um, well, the Afghan war lasted 20 years, but there has been documentation starting from 2024. So it's like about 15 years of documents that have been really going over anything that the government, the U.S. government, has been doing, the operations that have been ongoing in Afghanistan for this period of time, which includes some really horrific acts of violence and war crimes that have been trying to be hidden. And now, obviously, through WikiLeaks, these files have surfaced and been able to, be available to the public. And, I think it's important that these things are remembered. Like, of course, the Afghan war happened years ago, but, we're still ongoing. Like, there's still wars happening these days. There's still war crimes. There's still, like narratives that are being pushed. There's
Mm.
still a lot of propaganda going on, to justify these conflicts, and the people don't really know the truth. People are victims, both people that engage in war, but people that are living in countries from these conflicts. And so
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
important to be aware that the truth is not always what it seems, what is depicted. And we're more than happy to support projects that are there to champion this and support freedom of speech. And this is why Project Spartacus is coming to life and is coming to Bitcoin. These documents they are available on WikiLeaks, but you can now own a piece of history by minting it this week. So check it out. It's happening on the 25th. And without ado, I mean, I think it's important to go back a little bit on the history. So if Gabriel,
Mm.
you are Julian Assange's half brother. I mean, Julian has been not only, the founder of WikiLeaks, but he's been contributing, to the cypherpunk movement. I know he's been writing pieces like since the 1990s, which is, at the end of the day, like where the crypto movement comes from. There's a big overlap from these two groups of people in a sense, right? Especially in the early days. And I think it's always very interesting to go back and remember history because, Web3 and crypto has evolved in so many different ways. This industry has matured beyond what we could have possibly imagined. It is also converging with traditional finance markets. So not exactly what we had in mind when we joined Backlog, but regardless, I just want to hear.
Well, yeah, I think it's important that people know the actual true history of Bitcoin, right? Like as we move into this next phase, where the sort of Bitcoin's growing up, people are becoming Bitcoiners are becoming very politically engaged, right? It's had a political awakening. There's Donald Trump is almost the first Bitcoin president, right? Like, so I think it's important that, like, at this moment in time, people understand exactly, what Bitcoin was made for and the use cases for Bitcoin. Those really early days, those use cases that were proof of concept for what Bitcoin, what Bitcoin is, uncensorable money. And WikiLeaks, as you said, WikiLeaks and Bitcoin, they sort of grew from the same like primordial cypherpunk ooze, right? Like they came from that the same community of cypherpunks, that the cypherpunk mailing list, where people like Adam Buck and Julian Assange were members of that. Were members of that mailing list and were exchanging, not exchanging directly, but they were both posting to that mailing list back, way back when. And these two ideas existed, and they're both taking technology and really using them to benefit using it to benefit mankind. Like, we're not talking about an Amazon or Facebook or anything like that. The cypherpunk ethos is bigger than that, right? Like, they want to take the technology and use it to really better mankind, not to not for financial benefit. And in 2006, WikiLeaks was launched, and what I often said, when we were on the trail fighting for Julian's freedom, is that WikiLeaks was this decentralization of journalism, decentralization of leaks. You had these proprietary companies, these old media corporations, and they used to have a wall between us, the user, the leaks, and they would use that wall to conserve their power and create these narratives and convince us to go into wars like the war in Afghanistan that these documents relate to. But what WikiLeaks did was they took leaks out of the hands of those media corporations, gave access to everybody to these leaks. So they decentralized media in that way, and we can see the impact that WikiLeaks is having on media to this day. You see corporate media is like the trust in corporate media just keeps going down and down and down. I think it's the lowest it's ever been, and you can directly correlate, I think. And then similarly, like, I don't have to tell everyone here about what the efforts that Bitcoin has made in decentralizing finance or decentralizing money.
And WikiLeaks also survived on donations, which were Bitcoin donations initially, right?
Yeah, that's right. These two worlds came together, right? Like it was just after these Afghanistan Afghanistan war diaries that there was an extra legal banking blockade. People talk about debanking these days, but this was above and beyond what people talk about debanking nowadays. WikiLeaks survived on donations, had Visa cards set up, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, and bank accounts in a few locations all around the world. And it was Senator John McCain, a US senator who's now passed away, actually ran for president, who led this extra legal banking blockade against WikiLeaks after they published these Afghanistan war diaries. Pissed off the powerful people in the United States, the military-industrial complex, by publishing this materials, that they came after them, and they shut down their Visa payments, their MasterCard payments. They shut down their PayPal. Julian had his personal bank accounts shut down in multiple territories. WikiLeaks had its bank accounts shut down as well, and they faced like an existential crises, because without money they couldn't keep publishing, they couldn't keep paying for servers, they couldn't keep paying their employees. And it was at that time that this it was sort of like still I guess, for lack of a better word, a sort of beta technology. And there was a lot of talk on forums when WikiLeaks got shut down, when their payments got shut down, is that they should turn a source for donations, but not only that, as an operating currency for the organization. And Julian actually responded, and actually Satoshi responded saying, this is too soon. Bitcoin, still a very developing technology. And so Julian and WikiLeaks actually waited 6 months. They managed to survive for 6 months before they started taking Bitcoin donations and moved everything over to Bitcoin. And it was at that time that Satoshi made his famous last post, saying WikiLeaks has kicked the hornet's nest, and the swarm is coming towards us. So it is
they were in touch.
And yeah, they were speaking on forums, right?
So was Julian directly in touch with Satoshi?
Well, I don't know directly.
Yeah, is it the same person?
Yeah. Some people say Julian is Satoshi, right? Like he's one of the suspects, one of the suspected Satoshis.
I think he's a bit busy. He's a bit busy at the time, so.
Yeah, that's right. He's busy doing something else. But yeah, so then they WikiLeaks then ran on Bitcoin, and they continued to publish, and it was the first proof of concept that the most powerful nation state on earth that shut down their Visa, shut down their MasterCard, shut down their PayPal, shut down bank accounts in territories all over the world, could not join and could not stop WikiLeaks publishing. And it's to me, still the best use case is Bitcoin as totally uncensorable payment rails for publishers or anyone around the world that wants to continue operating, even though they are operating in the face of the most powerful superpower on the planet.
And it's not dependent. There's a lot of talk about where the industry is going these days. There is a lot of companies, banks, like everyone's talking about stable coins. Ultimately, stable coins need to be denominated or like pegged to a currency. Bitcoin does not. Bitcoin is the currency of the internet. And so this is, why ultimately, like, I think like people that resonate with this movement also resonate with Bitcoin, because it does give freedom from, currency prisons that are imposed by certain nations and so on. And if you think about it, I think like, was Julian one of the first person to be charged under the Espionage Act? Like he has gone through, like after that period, he's gone through, years of like legal battles, had to live in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. I lived briefly behind the corner. I remember there were always people, in front of the embassy. I then, when you live in London, you move around, and I also lived in Marylebone. And I remember that day when, he basically got charged and was sent to the tribunal. Is it equal tribunal?
Tribunal.
Yeah. Anyways, I was there. I remember this happening. Like, when I look back and I see, everything that's happened, and you fast forward to today, and also just being involved with Project Spartacus and working with you guys, and like Mood Labs has been supporting Project Spartacus. It's something that makes me think. Of course, we're in crypto these days. there's a lot of questions that come up, are we really contributing to something, to society? Is it something that is meaningful beyond just, the scope of our business? And I have to say, like, maybe 20-year-old me would be very proud of this day of just being part of like these kind of projects, just supporting and even just like talking about this, because it was part of, it personally, it really shaped me as a person, just following up, just seeing that, there was another truth, that there were people like standing up between the status, against the status quo, that were challenging reality. This is ultimately personally what brought me into crypto in 2017. It was those values of, of a revolution, of, a new way of living, right? That our generation could finally have access, like something that could really not break free from the system, but an alternative way of living that offered us a lot of, possibilities, and really broke free from like the prison. I was working at Bloomberg back then. I was like in 9 to 5 core mode, so like that idea of just being stuck in sort of like the rat race, and then seeing this world unfolding around of, like crypto, obviously like WikiLeaks was a big part of it. It really, it really motivated me. It really opened up my mind and really resonated with me. And I'm sure a lot of people felt the same. And so it's important that, these projects happen and keep happening. It's important that we remember, even if the Afghanistan war was, it happened years ago. People don't really talk about this anymore, right? Like we've moved on to other conflicts. But it's important to remember, like, this happened. There has
Yeah, well, I
been,
think the Afghanistan war was the first forever war. That's where this term came from.
it was 20
It
years.
ran for 20 years. It was essentially the national security elite, washing money through Afghanistan and redistributing it to itself, all over the world. I mean, I think we sort of all remember those images from 2 years ago, or even more recently, when the Afghanis paraded all the equipment, like the billions and billions of dollars of equipment they paraded through that was left behind, right? Like all that equipment with printed money, with fiat printed money. Like that's what people are doing with fiat. They're like printing it and just like dumping it through these countries. And so I think Bitcoin, this is another like reinforcement of why it's so important to, to have non-government money, to separate money and state, is because this is what happens. This is like these
I have a
corrupt
video
people
that
get
I'm
their
going
hands on the
to
money
share.
and wash it through these war
100%.
zones.
No, for sure. I mean, it's something that we need to be aware of. I think I can screen share here. Is it this one? Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean,
د زمریز لروشتمه د افغانستان د تاریخ لزرینو بابونو څخه ده.
نړیوالو لپاره موږ دا پیغام ده، بیا پرمختګ کارو کې دی.
So yeah, and this has been happening. It will happen again. It's just not going to stop. War is a money-making machine. So
I think that's
yeah.
why it's important. I mean, but it's funny that now we're coming kind of full circle back, because I think that history there is critical. The way that the interlinking of these things is just, there's very well intertwined, man. And the understanding that history is crucial for where we're at today, because now it's kind of full circle, because obviously Bitcoin helped WikiLeaks with the kind of decentralization of the money side of things, but now Bitcoin's helping WikiLeaks with the decentralization of the data side of things, which is something that's why I'm in Ordinals, basically, is this kind of idea of Bitcoin becoming like kind of like a decentralized data layer that is government resistant, is immutable, which is really was appealing to me. And yeah, these war logs that we're putting on chain are public data, right? I mean, they've been already published by the likes of the Guardian, etc., which makes the information itself public domain. So we're personally not doing anything illegal here, but what we're doing is imprinting it in a place where it can't be taken down, because this data set, which is about 75 megabytes or so, you can host it
Yeah,
very easily.
I'm gonna share a bit so you guys can see. And all this is on there's a website, Project Spartacus.xyz. You can go on Trio, you can go on the Twitter account, you can go on my account, Gabriel's account. You'll find all the information here.
Nice. Yeah, it's about 75 megabytes of data basically that we're trying to put on chain, and here you see, so each log is represented in this kind of collectible fashion, where it's this. They all look the same, and the snippet of text, the actual log text as well itself is presented. And the new ones that I've created for the rebirth of this is all the metadata is like stuffed in it as well, so people can actually view the actual raw log metadata, which contains more information than what you see here. It's got loads of attributes in the metadata in terms of the specific log, and you'll see it's varying things, right? See attached document is one of my favorite ones because you can't see the attached document, but anyway, there's also ones that just have one word, and there's ones that have 4 or 5 columns, so they can get varied. But if it's okay with you, Julian, Gabriel, I'd love to just I was just looking at the Assange name. Just jump into the that story you mentioned about. There's a couple of weaves of stories going through these logs, right? And there was one particular person in the logs that you mentioned to me. I don't know if you can jump into that kind of story.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's really important to remember that these are real stories within these logs. Like, these are real people, real U.S. military personnel, real people in Afghanistan. It documents all of these documents. All of these documents often have kills attached to them in the metadata as well. Kills and locations, how many civilians died. So these, I think it's really important to subscribe to Bitcoin as part of the memory of these people who passed away. They were children or civilians or military or Afghanistan military or Taliban. I think it's important to remember all these people and this war. But there are particular stories in here. The longest log, actually, the longest log documents a story that happened over a number of days. A soldier who went AWOL, a guy named Bo Bergdahl, and this particular war log documents him going missing, and then the consequent search for all around Afghanistan, and they eventually tracked him down. But I think what's really poignant about his story, he was a conscientious objector, essentially somebody who saw this war for what it was. That he saw the lies that were coming out about this war, the lies about civilian deaths, the lies about how well the war was going, because we didn't know at the time, but through these wars that this war was unwinnable. We were being lied to by the government. We were being lied to by the corporate media. And it was only through these documents that we were able to discover that the US forces and the coalition were actually losing this war. But this particular soldier knew that, and his story is well documented. You can look him up. There's Wikipedia articles about him, articles written about him. And
what is his name?
Bo Bergdahl.
How do Bo?
I think one of the most touching parts of the story for me is the day before he went AWOL, he spoke to his father, and his father said, do what's in your heart, Bo. And that's the day that he went that he decided to walk off the base, and that whole story is documented in one log, and I think to me, that's sort of, that revulsion of this war that Bo felt, and the sort of dissonance that he saw, being on the ground and reading the newspaper articles, seeing what was actually happening and having that dissonance between what was appearing in the news, and that prompted him to act, really is a great summary for all of these logs and the impact that they had on many of us when they were released back in 2010. They were the first publication of the Chelsea Manning leaks. Chelsea Manning was a private military intelligence private who leaked these documents, the Afghanistan war logs, and the Iraq war logs, the Guantanamo Bay detainee files that document torture, including torture of minors, that was going on, and also the cable set, the 250,000 diplomatic cables that were also published by WikiLeaks.
She also violated the Espionage Act, same as.
And he was charged and convicted. He was charged and convicted. He spent 7 years in prison. Chelsea Manning spent 7 years in prison, and was eventually had his sentence commuted by President Obama at the end of his administration. But yeah, he was convicted under the Espionage Act. But what's, I think, unusual about the Espionage Act is that it was common under the Obama administration to prosecute whistleblowers. Actually, President Obama was the one who prosecuted the most whistleblowers under the Espionage Act, which is a surprising fact that not many people know. But Julian and Wiki were the first ones ever to be the first prosecuted under the Espionage Act. It was a totally new use of this law to go after a publisher for publishing information in the public interest, for publishing truthful information. And that's why there was such a backlash over this, that it was such a violation of freedom of speech, of press freedom, of people's right to know what their governments do in their name, that the US government was using its espionage, its spying laws, to reach into another country, being the United Kingdom, and grab a publisher and potentially extradite. They ended up holding Julian for 5 years in a maximum security prison, in Belmarsh prison. He was held there without conviction. It's known as Britain's Guantanamo Bay. It's where they have it's one of the most notorious prisons, or the most notorious prison in the United Kingdom. And he was held there for 5 years without actually being convicted. And that's just that's an example of the lengths that these people went to silence Julian. Julian figured out this way how to use, the architecture of the internet, encryption, and Bitcoin to make this uncensorable website, and the powers that he exposed pushed back with everything that they had.
Yeah, he definitely annoyed a lot of people there.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is as well, like, I don't think you'll find Bo's name in the leaks, right? Because I think one fascinating thing you told me, Gabriel, was that Julian paid, being obviously a good journalist, right, and he paid a lot of attention to people's privacy. And you mentioned to me previously that there was like algorithms that got wrote to go through and search and make sure like general X, Y, and Z name gets removed, so that at least it's like nobody gets exposed in that regard without their consent, basically, right? Can you just go into that a little bit as well?
Yeah, that's right. This was the first big data leak ever, right? Like, ever. We've seen, after this, we've seen more and more, like the Snowden leaks, the Panama Papers, things like that. But this was the first one, and the old school journalists could not keep up with the amount of data. They didn't have the resources to even attempt to redact these documents in any sort of meaningful way. And Julian, being the technologist, being the programmer and developer that he is, he developed software that would develop scripts that would go through these documents, things like so they would compare them to the dictionary, right? So that was one pass. So any proper nouns that appeared in these documents, people's names, etc., that don't appear in the dictionary, were removed. And so that was like one script. He had another script that went through and found anyone who had like a title before their name, like Mr. or Sergeant or General or Private, or the initials around that. Anything that came after that got redacted. So he actually came up with technology that other journalists, I don't know if you've met a journalist, but they don't really know their way around a script or anything. Like all typewriter type people and like white out, they use like brush out things and stuff like that was like where people were at back then. And Julian spent hours and hours going through these documents, trying to protect people's identities, which was one of the big lies told about him, that he actually didn't do that. And he, the big lie was that, he put people in harm's way. But it was actually the opposite, that Julian went to great lengths to hide these people's names. And then under the Obama administration, Obama actually spent millions of dollars on an investigation trying to find somebody that was harmed because of the release of these documents. And they eventually had to admit in Chelsea Manning in the leakers court hearing that they couldn't find anyone who'd come to any harm, and that the opposite is true. These documents actually led to the ending of these wars. It took a long. These wars were exposed for what they were, and someone's actually brought justice to these people and ended wars and got U.S. military personnel out of harm's way rather than putting them there in the first place.
I have a question regarding Project Spartacus. Why the name? Like, where does it? Why did you choose this name for this project?
I don't know if you've seen. There's an old school movie called Spartacus about a slave. It's a Roman slave movie, and there's this scene in the film where the Romans, they capture the slave uprising, and they're looking for the leader of these slaves. Which one of which one of you is Spartacus? If you don't show yourself, we're gonna like kill you all. And so I think it's Kurt Douglas, who is the actor. The Kurt Douglas stands up and he's like, "I'm Spartacus." And then eventually, someone next to him stands up and says, "I'm Spartacus." And then eventually everyone stands up and says, "I'm Spartacus." And I think that was, this is a community project, where we're asking the community to join Julian and have that "I'm Spartacus" moment where anybody can stand up and do what Julian was in prison for and publish this information. And so there is that "I am Spartacus" moment, that "I am Assange" moment.
I am Assange.
Yeah.
That's a perfect name, in my opinion. Perfect name.
And I mean, about the project, I think it's important to circle back a bit on what Project Spartacus is. Ultimately, besides owning a part of the truth about the history, it's important to say this project it's also tied to information rights, which is an organization, NGO, that is actually supporting whistleblowers, people that are fighting for the truth. And there will be, so the service fees for the project have been waived, which means that it's a free mint in that sense. There have been, however, there is a charity fee, let's say like a donation fee of 5K sats, which is around like 50 cents US dollar. That whenever you mint an ordinal, a piece of one of the war logs, you will donate 50 cents to information rights. Let me show you guys.
5,000 sats is $6, but I don't think it's that amount. I don't think we're doing 5,000 sats. We need to double check that, but it's not $5.
All right. Well, I suck at math, so you guys can like just go and do the math.
But
Convert it
yeah,
yourself.
I think
But
it's more like 600 sats or something along those lines. But anyway, just to say, it's a completely not for profit thing we're doing here because we believe in it so much, and we're well behind this thing in terms of all our tech and effort and everything's going behind this to just prove it can be done. And I just can't wait to get it going. We've got to dial it right back just before we get into the Information Rights Act. The project actually launched already in 2023. Julian's wife Stella kind of announced the project at Bitcoin Amsterdam in 2023, and everyone was really excited about it. And it was a great use case for the Ordinals protocol on Bitcoin. And then the team, it was an anonymous team of devs that were there, it was maybe too much for them and they backed out. And then basically we got in touch with Gabriel and the team and we went all in and said we can become tech partners here and provide whatever we need to. And that was like a year and a half ago. So it's been a bit of a journey, but it's now coming to the point where we're ready to put it live again. And then we were definitely not doing any service fee in terms of profit, but we were toying with should we actually, put something on there as part of the transaction, which people might not even care about because it's like so small, but you times that by 86,000 war logs, it kind of adds up, right? 76,000, what kind of adds up. And then we think, can we funnel it into the Information Rights Project then? So yeah, take it away, you guys, in terms of, giving information.
yeah. And I see Purple in the chat. Hey, Purple, my usual co-host. Hello. You're missed the show, but thanks for being here with us in the chat. He's saying this project embodies the spirit of Bitcoin so perfectly. I think so too. And honestly, like, yeah, this is something fun. It's not your usual degen mint. It's you get to own part of history. Just be part of a movement and support information rights, freedom of speech. Ultimately, the core values of what brought and what made the space grow. Ultimately, even if it's not really, it's changed a lot, but this was the foundation. This was, these were the seeds that allowed us to grow into whatever, our industry has flourished into. So yeah, hey, Purple, sending hearts.
I think all credit to Ordinals Bot and Trio as well. I think, they've, they really grapple with this project and made it happen. I think when we first started looking at bringing this project, it was going to be on. We're looking at Ethereum, and that's when Ordinals was just kicking off, and then Bitcoin was just the natural home for this project. I guess when the anonymous devs were like trying to develop it, it was very like really early days for Ordinals, and it was like very touch and go. But I think what Ordinals Bot has been able to do is pretty incredible work to get this all working and to get this, particularly with having all the metadata, that it's going to be a complete data set. So people can know that they can have like complete trust that when they're publishing this information, that it's being entirety, that we're not leaving anything behind, that this is going to be on Bitcoin. It's going to be there forever. No one is ever going to be able to change it. WikiLeaks' servers go down all the time, right? And same with the Internet Archive. Like there is no better place to store this than the Bitcoin blockchain, and Ordinals Bot have made it absolutely seamless, the user experience. So when it launches, you'll all know exactly what I mean. So you'll be able to go on there and publish as many. How many can you publish at once, bro?
I think it's like 150. I think if we set it. I think we could have done more, but we wanted just 50 is a reasonable size for the transaction. So
yeah, so you can go on and publish 50 at a time, and so that will, that sort of reduces the thing, doesn't it? If you're publishing more,
exactly.
So yeah, I think it's really important that this is on Bitcoin. It's there forever, and hopefully it's an example to people out there that Bitcoin is actually like an incredible uncensorable publishing tool, as well as financial rails, and that I'm
going to share the account, by the way. This is the
and it
Twitter
catches
account.
on as a protocol.
Yeah, definitely.
Pop on and follow.
Everyone should definitely follow the Project Spartacus Twitter account. And there's two things. One is, the Afghan warlogs are just currently the first batch, let's say, that we can do. So I think we said in a previous stream, like Gabriel, like if this works, then there's no reason we can't put all of these leaks essentially on Bitcoin, and it's basically powered by the people. So, and then the second thing I want to say as well is that we definitely have been working hard over the last year and a half. But the shout out to the Moods team as well, it's Camski and Max, like they've picked up the baton in terms of helping us get the voice heard a little bit more. So, we're all kind of coming together on this one and try to just make it the best we can. Because it is a real, like you said, it's a real good example of how to do this. And I'm just looking forward to seeing it all. I'm looking forward to that day when they're all on chain, basically, and it'll be a real exciting time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a pleasure. And obviously as Mood Labs, we are, 100% like it's an honor to participate to projects like these. And if you can see, like, there's some like fun animations. Obviously, this is our team that has been, they're a little gruesome, to be honest. It's not the easiest project we've worked on in a way. Like, it definitely brought back a lot in a
No
sense
cute
because
cats or anything? No cats or
there's
any
no
animals or
cute,
monkeys
there's
or whatever? Oh, we just
none of
need
that.
more. Can we have more of those? Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Max and I went through, like, to make these, like Max and I basically went through a lot of the footage, and
Yeah.
it's really graphic. It's it's real people getting
True
shot
life, man. True life. Yeah.
and shooting, and like I think we've all seen this one like come up. It was like in the news, maybe one of the most famous ones, where you literally just see civilians being shot. And yeah, it's not the easiest one we won, but we're definitely proud to be supporting and contributing. And hopefully you're helping information raise funds. And so yeah, definitely support. If you support this project, support the movement. I'm Assange. We're all Assange. Follow the page. And yeah, it's launching on the 25th, which is the anniversary of the release of these files. So
I'll just touch on information rights so people know what it is. So information rights is a foundation. Yeah, it says it there, protecting the right to speak, know, and be heard. And what is focused on actually continuing the work that we did to free Julian, using the supporters, the subscribers that we put together to free Julian, which we did, like an amazing, incredible task that took millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of people, world leaders, etc. But to use that network to help others who are being persecuted for exercising their freedom of expression rights. And so there is actually an Afghanistan whistleblower, an Australian military whistleblower who's still in prison. He's serving a 5-year prison sentence, and he's one of the people that the information rights is advocating for at the moment. So I think there's that, there's that sort of that there is still that real life tie-in to the Afghanistan war and what was exposed, helping who brought us that information, giving them the support that they need, the support that their families need. Because when these whistleblowers or publishers make these courageous decisions to bring us this information, they're often like they're putting their lives at risk.
Everybody around them, right?
Making this, it affects their families. They lose their jobs. Their characters get totally maligned, and they get assassinated. Their character assassinated in the media. Some of them, end up being killed. So it's really important that they know that there is a community out there that supports them when they're thinking about doing this, because it's like at the moment we're not getting many leaks, right? We're not getting, it's all sort of government sanctioned leaks. We're not getting the Chelsea Mannings or the Edward Snowdens that we used to, and we really want people like that, people working within these organizations, to know that we've got their back, that if they do this, if they leak this information, that there is an organization out there who's not afraid to support them. And that's what the information rights is about.
Yeah, and so if you support and join the movement with Project Spartacus, you're supporting freedom of speech, information right. Donation will go to this foundation to help people really stand up for the truth. That's a question that we've actually been asked. I don't know if it's something that we can discuss. And, we are, I don't know if maybe you haven't met her, but our social media manager, Nelly, is Palestinian Jordanian. And she has asked us, she obviously really loved this project and asked if, there would be any follow up, anything, that will come up given in relation to the current ongoing conflict that has, been, basically persecuting her people in Palestine and still ongoing and, really affecting all of Middle East. I'm here in Dubai. This is definitely something that affects all of us as much as, the UAE wants to remain quite neutral in that sense. But I was wondering, is this something that you have considered doing? Any information that is going to come out in regards to this conflict? Since this is, something that we are experiencing right now and have been experiencing for also over a decade now. It's nothing new. It's just, like people have been a little bit more outspoken in the last few years.
Yeah, there are people calling for leaks, people like Max Blumenthal of the Grey Zone. So there are publishers out there who are calling for leaks from within government institutions. And I'm not really working with any leakers, but anybody who's thinking of leaking information or publishing information, and they're concerned of the blowback that they're going to get, then our organization will support them. So yeah, we hope that we can instill some, or just make people think that, okay, if I decide to make this courageous decision, if I decide to leak this information, that they know that there is an organization that has a track record of getting people out of prison, like Julian, who was in prison for 5 years for publishing information about war crimes. There is an organization out there with a track record who wants to support who support leakers, support publishers, technologists who are being persecuted. But yeah, there are definitely people calling for leaks, publishers who are calling for leaks, and so I think it's just a matter of time because deep down inside us all, we have this like basic revulsion, right? When I think that's what motivated people like Chelsea Manning or Edward Snowden. Snowden saw the head of his eyes lying to Congress about surveillance. What triggered him to leak this information? And so we know there are people who have that sense of justice within these organizations, and we know that there is a deep revulsion for seeing these sorts of crimes being perpetrated on women and children, and that there are people with this of justice within these organizations. And I think it's just a matter of time before one of them comes forward, another Chelsea Manning, another Edward Snowden, and the information rights will be there to support them.
I see a comment in the chat from Victory. Good morning. Is it too late to get a whitelist for this project? No, it's not. Shoot me a DM. We can sort something out. And if anybody wants a whitelist and you're here in the chat, drop a comment, and we'll be reaching out and we'll make sure that you can get whitelisted. You can shoot me a DM with your Taproot address, and yeah, we'll get you on. We are coming close to the top of the hour. Before we close off, I do want to say this is, it's definitely something that, for the ones that, have been following this project, it's been in the making for quite some time. And, we're very excited to see its release, to see it come to life, to see people minting and interacting. It's not an easy one. Like, you are going to, mint war logs that will be describing some uncomfortable situation as well, that are very gruesome with all the details. So, It's not a light PFP project. There's a lot of those out there. This is something a little bit more real, a bit serious. Like it's part of the world that we live in. Um, whether for sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. Thank you, Camsi. Yes, of course, just Yemi. And Khaled has been in my DMs for 2 weeks, apparently. Right. All right. I'll give over the mic to you guys. Let me check my DMs. Okay.
Yeah, like Camsi said, this is not a PFP project. It's not even for speculation. This is to join a movement and just think in 100 years, all this stuff that we're putting on chain, people can consume. That's the key. Like basically, you're putting this stuff on for 500 years from now, when people are scanning through Bitcoin and all of the servers have went to dust, but Bitcoin transaction history is there somewhere. They might uncover this like an archive, and they'll see this moment in history, man. It's been a horrendous time in human history, but an important one. Like Gabriel said at the very beginning, we can't forget, So that's why I'm involved in it, and that's why I urge everybody to inscribe at least one, because it's a movement. So
just back to Khaled. So I just checked my DMs and I don't see DMs from 2 weeks ago. You just see a gem from today. So I don't know. But if you want a whitelist, you can get one. You just need to ask. Whatever. Anyways, Max is saying first project to really take advantage of the anti-censorship of ordinals. Indeed, and this was something, is something that motivated early, OG ordinals, the community really, is to find a way to inscribe data on the mother chain immutably, permanently, and we're doing it.
absolutely. You want some final words, Gabriel?
No, I'm just, I mean, it's been a long time coming, this project. So excited to, excited for it to go out, and we need everyone to go on and, mint a few, mint 50, mint one, mint as many as you want. But yeah, be part of this history, and stand with Julian, be a publisher of show show these people that we cannot be stopped, like Bitcoin, like WikiLeaks will keep publishing, and we'll keep using Bitcoin, and we'll stop these wars.
It's not stopping. Let me share it one last time. The website, this is where you're going to be minting. You can also mint on Trio and earn some XP.
I've got something to say, actually. If you scroll down a little bit, Camski, you'll see the 76,911 up. Let's stop. It's 76,911 logs, and there's already been from the previous team 2,837 essentially inscribed already. And during the transition period, when it stopped originally, there was 610 people who actually paid and didn't get their log. So I've got those addresses, and the Trio team's got to basically before the mint starts, probably today, actually send out the 610 logs to the people who are waiting on them basically since a year and a half. So that way, when this timer comes down and the mint starts, everyone should be whole again. And we'll then probably start with over 3,000 to begin with, and then there's again 76,000 to go. But we'll get there.
So here we go. It's happening soon, the 25th. And there's many of them. So, there's a chance for everybody to collect one of these. Again, to be part of the movement, support freedom of speech, be part of Bitcoin. This is, it's a historical project. And again, like if you are wondering how, you can go here and, check it out. There's different instructions also for people that might not necessarily be, crypto native. The team has included some instructions, and check them out. Like you can always reach out on the account, go in the, Ordinals bot Discord if you have any questions. can DM me. Yeah, we're excited to see this come to life. We've all been working really hard to bring it, to bring it to you, to the public, and hopefully we get to see more of these, of these type of projects come to Bitcoin and support real life causes, support foundations, NGOs. It's definitely something that makes it all worthwhile, right? So yeah, with this said, if there's any final words, from you guys, I just want to say that it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure working with you guys on this project. I'm super excited, excited to be part of it, and love hosting the trio show. We'll be back next week at the regular hour with my co-host Purple, 12 p.m. EST. Stay tuned for the guests that are going to be announced on the show. But other than that, thank you, Gabriel, for joining us. Bruff, pleasure as always.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Join the movement.
Yeah, get on board. Project Spartacus.xyz.
Let's go. Nice. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Peace.